So this is about great experience and entertainment, create memories with no boundaries, resonating at each stage of the customer journey. Now, more people than ever before are traveling. At the turn of this century, word-of-mouth recommendations and a copy perhaps of The Lonely Planet was considered a bit adventurous. For the rest of us, it was a trip to the travel agent. Today, technology's changed all that. We can book our trips online. We can stay in the house of a complete stranger if we want to, and check out restaurants and reviews and directions before we eat or indeed before we get lost. Now, it's no longer the case that your holiday starts from the moment you touch down on foreign soil, or perhaps with Brexit, that might be British soil. The experience begins from the moment you dream up your holiday, you dream up your travels. Now, what is driving this change? How is the industry adapting to the new environment? And where is this heading? Millennials are, as we're often reminded, all about experiences over stuff. So let the panel introduce themselves for a couple of minutes, tell us who they are, where they come from, and what they think of the title. We're going to be chatting for about 20 minutes and then open it up to you guys for some questions. So I'll hand over to Pepijn.
Yes, hello, good morning. I'm Pepijn, a completely unpronounceable name for any foreign tongue, but in Dutch, the I noun is actually a noun we use. To make matters worse, my name is Pepijn Rijvers. And I'm Chief Marketing Officer of Booking.com. I've been with Booking for 8.5 years now, and yeah, that's a little bit who I am.
Well, how do you understand the title?
Sorry, say again?
How do you understand great experience and entertainment, create memories with no boundaries? How does that resonate with you?
Well, it's interesting because you're talking about this millennial, lifestyle or attitude and how people are craving for experiences, not things. And Booking.com's mission is to empower people to experience the world. Because we think that the world is this beautiful planet that has so many things to give. And if people can really embark in that travel journey and we can take the friction out of travel, then we create an enormous amount of value. And you were talking about how 20 years ago it was actually kind of a nightmare, I think, to just wing it and go into some second tier city hoping for an accommodation in the evening. That's really, really hard. So we went to travel agents to solve our problem, or we were just backpacking. And I think a platform like Booking.com has actually made it really easy for people to be on the go, to be spontaneous, to discover many, many different kind of experiences, whether that's a guest house or a city apartment or whatever. So I think Booking.com has actually been on the forefront of this change when it comes to travel.
Tero?
Yeah, good morning everyone. My name is Tero Valkeala. I'm from FinnAir. We are the national airline based in Helsinki, and we provide the fastest routes between Asia and Europe. And it was somewhat 4 years ago when we started to invest into customer experience and digital, and first we started with the mobile, web and IFE. We have the Nordic Sky connectivity on board, and it's really about understanding the journey and providing those contextually relevant services for the customers, what they need along the journey. And there are those things that you can provide yourself, but then you need to find the right partners to support your own services. There's catering is one example, and then 2 years ago we started to invest into operational digital services, so like investing into digital tools for our employees that they can serve better our customers. So there are really those needs are growing from customer point of view, and like I think these kind of new services like Uber and Spotify are really driving the expectation level among the consumers. So that's why like the legacy players have a hard time to compete in the experience. But I think that's really like a lot of things are moving now, and also legacy players need to invest into creating better experiences along the journey.
Okay, Kelly.
Hi, so I'm Director of Product Development for Gate Group. Gate Group is the world's largest airline caterer, so I consider ourselves to be like providers of a lasting impression. I know airline catering can be something that is quite emotive for people. Food provision always is. And for me, because of this lasting impression concept, I feel that the food can be entertainment as well. It kills time, literally. And also, people in real time will now provide us feedback about their food. You know, there are tons of feeds on Instagram, anywhere, about their airline food. And so that, to me, is how we can broaden the experience for everyone beyond the boundaries.
Okay, Pepijn, I just want to ask you, in your mind, what do you think the biggest driver for change in the travel industry has been over the last decade?
So it's interesting because there's been a technology development, obviously mobile, and mobile I think changes profoundly how we travel. Because we have information basically in our pocket at any time, we are able to explore way more efficient than we were before. And now probably if you wanted to do a 2-week holiday with lots of things to do and see in a sort of niche place, years ago it would take you ages to prepare, whereas today you can literally do that almost on the go. So it changes our travel attitude. Mobile allows people to be spontaneous, to be on the go, to get instant gratification, and to also explore destinations in a way that is way more off the beaten track than before. I would say that's probably the biggest attitudinal change as well, which is why I think this conference is so interesting, because we talk about millennials in many cases as an age group, as a generation, whereas I actually believe it's a little bit more than that. It's almost an attitude towards life inspired by a generation. And this is an attitude of people just want to be moved by other people. We want to be moved by what we see. We want to matter. We want to make a difference. Way more than just all falling in line, doing the same thing, pushing buttons when bells ring. And travel is a great way for people to materialize this desire. It's a great way to connect with folks, with cultures, and discovering things, but also being out of your comfort zone. And I think that's probably the biggest change that travel has seen in the past decade.
I'm really interested in that idea. It's millennials and attitude to life, because this more adventurous travel, it goes beyond generations. I mean, we're seeing it among all age groups, aren't we? Sorry.
Yeah, I would certainly think so. If we look at the type of travel that any customer, any age group on Booking.com does, we see that the travel frequency has increased. We see that people visit more long-tail destinations. They're going, sure, we go to Paris and we visit the Louvre. Sure, we go to Amsterdam, we go to the red light district. We go to London and we sit in the Big Eye. But then we also want to go into a nice food market somewhere. We want to go into one of the suburbs that is maybe less developed, where we can see some real authentic UK life, so that we can experience that and take photos. And obviously sharing that on social is an important layer on top of that.
Social is a great one. I'm glad you touched on that. How has that changed things now? I mean, it's not just my experience of travel, it's my friends, it's anyone who wants to check onto my feeds.
Totally. I mean, and that's what I was sort of touching upon before, you know. I talk about Insta-food quite a lot, and that's the main thing, really. It's like, in an instant, especially with Wi-Fi enabled aircraft as well, you can snap a photo of your food and share that with everyone. And also, going beyond that, it's about, as Pepijn mentioned, you seek advice from absolute strangers. You just post something going, I'm going here, what's going on? And that's the way it's going now. It's like, you know, as you said in your introduction, the days of the sort of stayed book are long gone. We're looking to have real advice from locals. We share their homes, we share their experiences, and that's what we achieve through social media.
Which is interesting, because we were hearing in the debate earlier about how you still have to have that human relationship. And it is humans that are driving these reviews, these Instagram posts. Tara?
Yeah, well, when we talk about digital, there is always so much talk about technology, but actually it's all about people, understanding the needs of customers and employees. And definitely there is the user, the customer, who is, like, there needs to be a relevant need, understand those needs, and then you provide relevant services. And definitely the human needs to be in the center. So really the human-centric design elements are really there.
With these review sites, though, there will be winners and there will be losers as well. And if someone's got something in their food, they will post it and that will go viral. So how do you prevent that happening, apart from make sure all your food is great? I mean, you need to balance it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the most emotive things you can provide someone is a food service. And it's through research, it's through business intelligence. I mean, we gather quite a lot of data, as you can appreciate, and that's what drives our sort of decision making as well. So we try to get to understand the human, the passenger, the consumer, and then create menus and products that will appeal to them. And if it doesn't work, you find out pretty quickly, and then you, like any other hospitality industry, you move on. you make the change, and you get it right. So it's tried and tested, but you keep on going.
There's something really interesting, I think, with reviews as well, which we can clearly see from our data. Even really shitty experiences with really bad reviews are actually sought for by people. As long as you know what you're getting into, having a bad review is not per se the end of everything. I think the best example is a hostel in Amsterdam that actually made it its brand communication, the shittiest hotel in the world, where people are basically vomiting in the stairways, smoking hashish everywhere. It's really a place where you should not be, and our reviews suck. And of course, the place is hugely popular. People just want to see that experience, because any experience counts, right? It's not only the really posh ones or good ones. No, sometimes we also want to be either amazed or amused by something which is just so bad. Oh my God.
Yes, but a bad experience, I imagine, doesn't do a company that good at the moment. If you get this wrong, it can be potentially quite fatal. And I'm thinking here in terms of personalization of experience. Lots of people want to do it. If you get it wrong, it can be creepy, it can be nasty. I mean, how do you do that?
Yeah, so the topic of personalization, obviously, as Booking.com is a really large platform, and therefore we have enormous amounts of data, and we try to make the store experience as personalized as possible. But we don't do it on a traditional way. So it has nothing to do with age or gender or demographic information. It has everything to do with the kind of signals that you give while you're on our platform. And the reason is that people really are, of all ages, travel chameleons. We travel for business, but then we tag on a couple of leisure days. We travel with family. We travel with multiple generations, because grandma is turning 80 and we're turning it into a family event. And therefore, what we need to do is really look at the signals that they're leaving behind in our store. As an example, if you would walk into a physical clothes retail store right now, a fashion store, and the first thing you would ask to the employee inside is, do you have any trousers? I'm looking for some jeans. And if at that moment, boom, the whole store design could change, and suddenly everything is about jeans. It's just jeans everywhere, but in a very relevant way. You would have a phenomenal shopping experience. And this is exactly how personalization is happening. And I'm also seeing your face like, ooh, but I want the other stuff as well.
Me, that's a bit creepy. That's a bit creepy. And also, how do I know I may want jeans, but also I may want something else. I may want this experience, but I also want experiences that I'm not being told that I want. And isn't that the idea of travel, is that you experience things you would never expect?
Yeah, I think this is where the power of data comes in, because if the answer of the store to change completely into a jeans-only store is the wrong one, you basically go like, whoa, that's not what I wanted. We immediately learn through your behavior that that's not the right interpretation of the signal. This is not what you meant with jeans. With jeans, you didn't mean jeans, you actually meant something else. More nuanced, more profound. Maybe you were looking to be inspired in different ways. And that's the nice thing about data, is that we can literally learn over time how to best serve that question of jeans to you.
Tero, your face is turned up slightly there.
Yeah, I mean, there has been nice examples already a long time ago. Some digital brands have been doing pretty good personalization, like Netflix, for example, and some other new services. It's easier to do in digital once you have the data and you can test everything. But when you come to the physical world, it's completely different. You need to be sensitive. So that's difficult. But also, customers, they can forgive easy mistakes if your customer service agent says a wrong name or something. There is always the customer service element that you need to provide with Smile, great customer service anyway. So the personalized customer experiences can be provided to customer service agents, like providing more data so that they can serve better and give some ancillary services and offer them in a better way. So there are kind of easy steps that airlines can do, for example, and hotels. So it's not so difficult, but it's more about how to change the processes and the mindset of these service agents, for example, to serve better. So with the personalized data.
My interpretation is about creating a platform for choice, because like you say, sometimes you want X, sometimes you want Y, and that's, I think, the main thing. We have to enable, every person has different mindsets, mood changes. When I'm traveling for business, I want to have this type of experience when I'm traveling for leisure, it's a different kind of story. And so really what our challenge has been is to create the technological platforms and then the supply chain behind that to enable passengers to choose what they want to have on that flight and choose their experience. And that's the sort of, that's where I think we need to keep on going towards. So
I'm interested to know about that food idea, because most of what we hear is airlines are cutting back on their food. And I imagine the food is, like you said, it's quite emotive. And to take it away, as good as M&S products are on BA flights, some people liked the old service.
Yes, people did like the old service.
So is this just something for rich and for the people that can afford it? Or?
No, not at all. And I think what we are seeing as well is the power of brands on board. And when you have these powerful brand alliances, such as the one between British Airways now and Marks and Spencer's, that's changing the experience. And as you know, with brands, there's an immediate sort of resonance, and people already know that the food is going to have X quality. So that's just one approach, really. But it's not about taking away choice per se. It's actually about elevating choice. Because previously you would have just been handed, you know, chicken or beef. What do you like? And now it's about saying, actually, I would prefer to have this. And then you can, with tools which enable pre-order, for example, or in-flight back-of-seat ordering, you can say, I want to eat this, I want to eat it at this time, please don't wake me up, etc., etc., etc. So that's what we're trying to work towards.
Yeah, customers are happy to pay if they can choose, but there needs to be a better process to cater that selection. Like the traditional catering process is very clunky for customers, like on board. But I mean, how we can bring that selection to mobile already before the flight, and also deliver the food to the gate or to the airport or to the destination, or different choices for food is definitely needed.
I'm wondering, just broadening this out a little bit, with what's going on in the world and security measures, and I want to ask you, Terry, particularly, how do you as a company create a really good atmosphere when people are already probably really quite stressed with having to go through security measures, and actually everybody, except perhaps you, Pepine there, but how do you counteract that when external factors are going on in the world? There's nothing you can do about.
Well, the customer journey is very long, and there are different pain points along the journey, and definitely collaboration with different partners is important, especially with the airports, and how to provide a meaningful and smooth security process, like the queuing time, the atmosphere, and the whole architecture at the airports. Like the Helsinki airport is renewing currently, so there's some renovation ongoing, but there will be better, smoother process. So that's one thing. But also providing relevant messages to customers at the right time. That's really like so that they feel secure and they are convinced that everything is going smoothly, and they feel that they are at the gate at the right time, and they get to on board, and really like providing that kind of smooth, relevant messages at the right time. So and it requires digital channels, digital signages at the airport, traditional methods, and collaboration with the different partners like airports.
Don't worry, I won't ask you about overbooking on flights. That's not your game. But, Kelly, your views?
I think this is where crew come to play, because they are the physical manifestation of the airline, and they help. They can alleviate, a great cabin crew can alleviate any of the previous stresses if the flight's delayed, etc. You know, and we've seen that as well when things go viral, like Southwest is amazing at this, where you see the sort of the wrapping security instructions and so on and so forth. So I think, again, to bring it back to the previous session, it's about bringing the humanity back, the human. So the onboard experience, it's those touch points with crew, it's making sure that everything does run smoothly, the IFE is working, etc., etc. And then that's where I think we can alleviate some of the stresses and make it an enjoyable experience.
Okay, I'm going to open it up now. So if anybody has any questions, do raise your hand. Hello there at the front. We'll just get you a mic just to say who you are, where you're from.
Hi there, I'm Alex Parris from What 3 Words. This is a question for Pepijn at Booking.com. Just in terms of giving your customers the best possible experience, What are you doing in terms of helping them find locations? So we're actually an addressing platform, so we've addressed everyone in the world with 3 words, and we're speaking later at 12, small plug. So in terms of being able to actually promote how to speak to specific entertainment or events or other experiences around the hotel, and obviously the hotel itself, are you doing anything to help sort of actually people find those locations and drive more custom to those places?
Yeah, so obviously we're doing a lot to make clear to people what they can find around the hotel by working with points of interest and attractions or other things that people generally want to discover around the hotel. But what we're also doing, and this has a lot to do again with how mobile allows us to have a almost constant communication with our customers, and also as a platform see if we can give them a better experience. Some of the things that we've launched here in London, by the way, and also in Amsterdam and a few other cities across Europe, is booking experiences. And in this case, we allow, we've built with local partners like museums or tours or activities, the possibility for our customers to buy these with steep discounts, but also with added value like skip the line and those things, including, like Booking.com's model is, with no upfront payment and cancel whenever you want. So we're thinking that here also we can take some of those travel trends like being spontaneous, winging it, but also instant gratification. We can bring those to the in-stay or in-destination experience.
Anybody else? Hello, there at the front.
Hi, my name's Archie. I'm from InCrowd Support, which is a sports marketing company. Another question for you, Pepin, is have you looked at sports tickets or event tickets as part of your platform as well? So providing an experience with a destination, but also an activity off the back of that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because definitely sports is a big travel motivation for many people. This is also why last summer you saw us having lots of brand campaigns around what we call the Summer of Sports. Of course, it was a Euros event, and there was lots of stuff going on in the summer. Today, I would say the platform is still very much nascent, very much in its early stages. As I said, we've launched like 20 to 40 attractions and things to do in cities, in roughly 7 cities. But we're scaling this up pretty rapidly right now, and certainly ticketing and sports events are a very interesting avenue to go down on, but maybe more chapter 2-ish than the first ones, because the first ones really are the Louvre, the big museums, the big attractions that the city has on offer. But yeah, let's have a conversation.
Another question?
Hi, a question for all of you, I guess. I'm really interested in the connection between what you do as marketeers, digital marketeers, and your IT platforms, and I'm interested in how much focus you put on the quality of your platforms themselves in terms of ensuring that links work and pictures load and so on and so on and so forth, and what effect that can have on conversion rates. So I'm just interested from marketing and IT really, and how they connect up.
So, jokingly, sometimes I think when we talk about infrastructure and architecture of IT platforming, we say business folks like myself, we can do all the strategy we want, but it's the architecture that allows you to execute or not. So it's actually the architecture that decides on strategy. That being said, I think that any business that has any form of digital engagement with their customers has an enormous opportunity there, because they can learn a lot. They can learn a lot from those engagements. They can learn a lot on how they can basically convert better, as an example. We were lucky to have such a very clear conversion event, like people actually making a booking and trusting us with their holiday. That has allowed us to learn so much over the past decade. As you maybe know, we're running lots of A/B experiments where basically one half of the audience gets to see a slightly different version of the store experience than the other half. And we just look which one converts better, because we think conversion is the best proxy for success, that we really added value to the customer. And this allows you to learn a lot, but you need the infrastructure to do this. And there's a whole science around how you measure these things, because it's very easy to draw wrong conclusions from it, which again, this has to be driven by technology. So I think technology, particularly going forward for any business with a digital engagement, is paramount.
Yeah, traditionally airlines have been doing dialogue with their customers through their loyalty programs, but it's something that needs to be renewed and expanded to other consumers as well. But the challenge is that, like in our case, that only 1/4 of our customers actually through our own channel, and we can have the dialogue with those customers. So majority of the passengers are actually customers of other agents, and then it's hard for us to do that dialogue. But naturally, there is a need for platforms to provide that kind of dialogue with the non-loyalty members as well. So definitely, I think many of the airlines are looking at that now.
We've spent a lot of time focusing on our technological platforms and how we can facilitate our customers and the end consumer to get the results they want. And so for us, it's about that seamless journey. And I mean, also, especially when we start talking about in-flight ordering, it has to absolutely work. So we're working with partners to create the sort of walled garden environments. We're working with partners to enable, again, going back to that message about choice, I can use my own device to choose what I want to eat and order it there. So it's very important for us and something we're continuing to work on and certainly invest in.
Anyone else? I'm interested a little bit more about what you said about seamless and asking this to everyone, because I imagine for each of you, the key is to be seamless. And yet we keep hearing about experiences, emotional engagement. I'm not sure I really want to be emotionally engaged at any stage. I just want it to go well. How do you create that love of a brand with something that is seen as functionary? Or am I wrong?
No, I think you're exactly right. I think that certainly if we would maybe do a bit of a poll on how people look at Booking.com, probably we're seen as a very functional tool. The easiest way to find the perfect place really quickly. And we actually want to double down on that. I think this is exactly the value that we bring to our consumers. The question though is when we talk about a seamless experience and about really creating that love of a brand, I don't think it has to do with how we talk about ourselves. I think it has everything to do with what we actually do. Right? So if we make your life more frictionless, if we take more problems that you didn't know existed away from you so that you have a smooth flow, you develop love for that kind of service. I think more and more what you're seeing is that people in general, driven through our online lives today, are developing let's say, an intolerance to services not being centered around me. It sounds very egotistic. And that intolerance, I think, comes because there are few companies that actually are able to give me that experience. So why don't you do this, right? And this is something that I see in almost every segment, every business happening right now. And a simple example. This morning, of a seamless experience, I mean. This morning, I took a cab from City Airport here to the venue. And I didn't book an Uber because I thought it was just quicker to hop on a local taxi. And I had a driver, rude, shouting, said he didn't accept card payments, even though I asked him before I got in, does he accept credit cards? Because I'm from the Netherlands, I don't have pounds on me. Drove me to a cash ATM where I could get some cash, and so on and so on. Most terrible experience in a while. I think the last time I've had such a bad experience was in Shanghai 7 years ago. And this is just intolerable for me. I'll just never use that local incumbent anymore. Forget it, no way. Why would I, make up for that pain? And this is an example, I think, on how you can really get that emotional connection, as you can see from how I sit here as well.
But a negative one, though, right?
In this case, a negative one, yeah. But Uber, for instance, what has been so amazing about their service delivery is because they solve for all the friction I just said. And so solving for friction actually creates an enormous emotional tie to a brand, even though it's still very functional. It gets me from A to B.
Tara?
Well, it's sort of said that easy is the new loyalty, so definitely every brand needs to provide an easy journey for the customers, but that means different things to different segments. So you need to understand the customers, and someone wants to do it in mobile, someone wants to go to the desk and talk to the agent. So that's definitely important to understand the journey and what kind of services to provide in what touch point in omnichannel. But also, really the key point is how to handle the irregular situations, when something goes wrong, how to handle that in a smooth way. So that's, I think many companies fail in that.
Okay.
Way.
We've got 1 minute.
That's where it needs to be focused also.
We have 1 minute, so I just want to very briefly get your final thoughts on where you think this is heading. Pepijn, where this is heading in the future?
Well, so I think that our lives will be made tremendously much easier and cheaper by all sorts of companies that today either exist or don't exist, whether that's in transportation or in the way that we get parcels or goods delivered to us and sent back, or whether that's how we consume content or how we engage with businesses. I'll point out a really quick example. Email is becoming such a terrible medium to communicate with people, and it's everything in my inbox smells like work and I hate it. Whereas messaging is so frictionless, so fast, so instant. I just love it. And also here, I think that we're at very early stages of what we're seeing.
Tara?
Yeah, there will be more competition and more choices for consumers, and that means, for example, for airlines, that means that you need to provide better travel ecosystem and services for your customers who are like home, especially home market customers. So that's important to expand beyond the core offering.
Echoing what Tara said, I think there's going to be more competition, more choice, and it's going to be driving value for money. And I think the experiences will continue to be supported, like virtual reality. We didn't even touch upon that and how that will impact travel. But I think choice is the main word.
Yeah. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Your panel, Kelly, Tara, and Pepijn. Thank you very much.